Some planning exercises to get you to think about how you envision yourself and how your hopes and dreams and passions are emerging, and how to expand that over your college career. And we're going to do some planning exercises within that. And that's probably as far as we'll get today. I'm going to give you an assignment to take home and think about. So there's separate assignments for those that are kind of undecided, or those that are interested in research, or might be interested in research, and those that are interested in pre-med. So I'm going to give you some stuff to do and think about and send to me before I come back, whatever day I am next week, to do more concrete planning for your academic career path at Emory. Okay? So let me get this started. And like I said, don't be panicked. I'm not going to show you all of it. Oh, where is the little mouse? So I always tell people that everybody thinks that their career path is straight, and that when they're 18 or 6 or 21, they know exactly what they want to do in life, and that they go just straight forward and no divergences, nothing, no side paths. But that's not really true for most people. Even though some people in their 20/20 hindsight, when they look back over their life when they're 50, they remember it as being a straight path. Scientists often say, I've wanted to be a scientist since I was 4 when I did thus and such. Right? Or they say, I've wanted to be a doctor since I went to visit my aunt in the hospital, blah, 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 right? Since I was 6 years old. But usually that's kind of filtered by hindsight. Most people's path is a long and winding road, and so I want to tell you just a little bit about mine, because I'm the oldest of 11 kids. I was born in rural Pennsylvania, in a little bitty town, no AP classes, right? None of that enrichment stuff. But when I was somewhere in high school, I was reading about the earliest discoveries of heart transplants for babies, for humans, right? And actually, when I was in high school, they did the first baboon transplant. So they transplanted a baboon's heart into a neonate that had heart problems when I was in high school, right? And reading that book, I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to be a heart transplant surgeon. And I want to work with little bitty babies and save them and help them live a full life, right? That's what I thought. How did I get to be a professor at Emory that teaches in biology and MBB, who has a passion for transforming the way science is taught and math is taught at the undergraduate level, the graduate level, at K-12, everywhere? How did that happen? Doesn't sound like a straight path to pediatric cardiology, does it? So the hints of this lesson are what we're going to do planning exercises on today. Part of it is you have to find your own passion. And it may not be the one you think it is right this very second, right? You may have lots of exploration to do to figure out what your passion is. And once you find out your passions, right, art and science, languages and science career, social sciences and sciences, you have to find your passions while you're here. You have 4 years to explore and do all kinds of things to figure out who it is you really want to be and how you want to make a difference in the world. Right? And so that's what we're going to play with today, is how you can figure out some ways to explore those things and to shape your own passions. Find out what kinds of things will make you want to get up every day and go to work, want to work more hours than they ask you to, want to make a difference, where you feel like you're really doing something that makes the world a better place. And once you figure out your passions, then I'm going to tell you that you have to be a little bold. Sometimes you want to change a system. Say you wanted to change the American healthcare system, for example, which isn't the best healthcare system in the world, despite the fact that we spend the most money on it. Sometimes they don't listen to you the first time, or the second time, or the third time. So you have to be bold with what you plan to do, and figure out what skills and what alliances and what mentors will help you get done what you want to make happen. Right? So I'm going to tell you about being bold and taking chances. So sometimes you have to take risks. Right? It's risky business out there. Sometimes you have to try something new and maybe take a chance at failing at it. Actually, we learn a lot from failure. We learn what we don't like. We learn what we're not that good at. We learn what other people might do better than us and how to get them to do it for us. Right? We learn lots of things from failure and chances. So I'm going to encourage you to take some risks. Don't take just the straightaway path through things. Take some risks and some chances. I'm reminded of, so there's a lot of pre-health interest in this crowd this morning. And this morning there was an article in the New York Times in the editorial page where the article started out, what is one free thing we could do to save more children? One free food that's available that could save more children than anything else we could invest in. Anybody have an idea what that free food might be? Go ahead. Take a chance. No? What do most babies die of in the world? Malnutrition and starvation and diarrhea. Those three things. Most babies in their first few months of life in the world, not the United States, except in some places, but in the world. Okay? And so the article ended up saying that if we could spend our time as social scientists educating women in poor, undeveloped countries to breastfeed for the first 6 months of their child's life without giving them other food, without giving them water, we would save hundreds of thousands of babies every year. Because in many countries, people don't know enough about how to appropriately breastfeed, how to encourage the milk, and they also tend to give their babies water. But their water supplies are not very pure. They tend to be filled with bacteria that give the babies diarrhea and liver viruses. So one, free food, okay? Bold idea, make a difference in the world. You could educate people in another country, or even in some parts of the United States, about breastfeeding and make more of a difference than the biggest pharmaceutical sales rep or whatever there is. Right? So I'm going to encourage you to take some chances and think about things like that. I'm going to encourage you to also find people who can guide and mentor you. And mentors can be peers, they can be people in this room, they can be professors, they can be people in your community, but mentors are what you need to help and protect and guide you along the way so that you can be bold and take chances and not get penalized for it, right? So I'm going to tell you about some of my mentors. I urge you to always create support groups for yourself. Support groups can be family, they can be friends, they can be groups of students in the same class or people with the same interests. But it is support groups that keep you going when times get rocky, when tests look too hard, when final exams are coming up, when stress is getting you down. Support groups are what keep you moving through. And that means you can't do it alone. And I don't just say that because I'm the oldest of 11 kids. I don't think I've ever done anything alone. But I do think that a lot of people try to do everything for themselves and never ask anyone for help and never reach out when they need help. Support groups are what keeps you going. The other two things I'm going to put in this part is, I say often roads diverge, and it's not just two roads, but many roads. So sometimes lots of paths you can take, right? You could be a doctor, you could be a nurse, you could be a researcher, you could be a pharmaceutical salesperson, you could be all kinds of things. All of you are capable of many, many, many pathways. It's up to you to find out and to think and to plan so that you can make the right choices when you get to places in the road that look like, maybe I could go this way, maybe I could go that way, right? So I'll tell you about a couple of those. And then I'm also going to add in, when life gives you lemons, you should make lemonade or Bacardi's or something, right? Okay. So this whole little talk is based on a Robert Frost poem that I've always liked. It was one I had to memorize the whole thing of in middle school, probably. I don't remember exactly. But I've always loved this poem because the whole piece of it is that often you have lots of choices. And sometimes you can take the less traveled path and make more of a difference, or it will make more of a difference to you in your life. So you don't always have to go with the crowd. You can make other choices, right? So it's my favorite poem. I'm not going to read it to you though, because I want to get to some of this other stuff. But my story includes all kinds of things. What's this on the street? An alligator. Yes. Okay, so my story involves alligators. What's that? Flies, right? Fruit fly. Drosophila melanogaster. With purple wings. It's a decorated one. A special one. My story involves them. And it involves lemons and lemonade. And it starts at, well, part of it starts at the University of Maryland, which is where I entered undergraduate school. So I'm going to tell you about some of the research that I've done in my life and some of the places I've been. Like, so I started out at the University of Maryland in the Dark Ages, a long time. A long, long time ago, the Dark Ages. Started out at the University of Maryland. From a tiny school in Pennsylvania. There were 80 people in my graduating class, I think. And it was a united Greencastle, Antrim, junior, senior high school to get that many people in one place, right? Otherwise it would have been 10. If it was just Greencastle, it would have been 10, right? But anyway, tiny little high school to the University of Maryland. The University of Maryland, when I went there, had 40,000 students on campus and 40,000 more on campuses around the world. Wow. What a shock, okay? So I went to the University of Maryland, and in my first biology class, there were 8,000 people. 8,000, that's way more people than there were in my town, right? In my biology class. We had biology on TV. We never saw the professor for real, never met the man. We saw him on TV in little classrooms. Our exams were in the basketball stadium. You ready for that? It's the only place they could put us all in one place. The only place we fit was the basketball